The home we seek is in eternity. The truth we seek is like a shoreless sea, of which your paradise is but a drop. What I've tried to do all throughout my adulthood really is to place a focus, or bring people's attention towards Iran, towards its cultural contribution, towards its cultural heritage, and to also make people focus and not forget, most importantly, about what Iran has done for the world in terms of its contribution. There's a very conscious messaging, the beauty of the Orient. A lot of Western figures really looked at it in such a marvelous manner and really appreciated the cultural contribution that the country had made for 3,000 years. And unfortunately, in the last 40 years, we've just been focusing on negativity, on tension, on war and atrocities, frankly. And we tend to forget what Iran used to be. It also took me back about this sort of obsession on certain images that I had growing up in France, growing up in New York. In particular, there was a photo shoot that an American fashion photographer by the name of Henry Clark did in 1969 for a US Vogue issue, whereby he took some of the great models of the time, be it Marisa Berenson or Lauren Hutton, to Isfahan and Persepolis. And they were set, in these beautiful, turquoise-colored and lapis-colored gowns, basically, set against the domes and the tiles of, the mosques and the beautiful the buildings and the architectural, wonder that these cities have to offer. In the 70s, it was also a time when people like Yves Saint Laurent, for instance, spent a lot of time in Marrakesh. He famously, I believe, said that he discovered color after he discovered Marrakesh. And then you had, that whole clan of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was not necessarily always a happily ever after story, but it really was a part of the world where a lot of Westerners, cultural figures, spent a lot of time in and were inspired by. So something I guess I should mention is the Barbie dolls. The sublime feminine as a theme has always been at the core of my work. I was dreaming of this lost past. And then I went to a box of Barbies, referencing to a childhood where, in the 70s, Barbie actually did play a big role in my generation. And I started placing these Barbie dolls in front of images of Iran, really as a reference to Henry Clark's photographs. Playing around and then creating images really just on iPhone, I thought to myself, well, how wonderful would it be to actually translate this image of a Barbie doll set, in Iran, into an actual location. And the Barbie doll became very much a symbol of the West as well. And hence, it was an outlook on how the West looked at the East in such a positive, in such a beautiful, in such a revering kind of manner. It was a very conscious choice of a location because Leighton House became a symbolic figure effectively, which in my head became associated with my origins and my country, Iran. So to have been given that opportunity for one day, even if only, whether it was me, Sarah, the model who I work with, whether it was Anne-Sophie Kushvalu, who's an amazing, amazing designer, who's a dear friend of mine from the East End of London, who did all the styling for the shoot, or Jessica Cheatham, who does wonderful makeup. It was like basically 4 women at play in some sort of wonderland, being gifted this opportunity after many, many months of having been, stuck at home and not being able to converse or dialogue in a creative manner. And it was like Alice in Wonderland. There's great sensuality, I think, in these images. You see a lot of lapis, you see a lot of emerald. These are the colors of Iran. It's the colors that I remember growing up. The sky, earth, the domes, the tiles, the architecture. And I hope that we will find again as humanity this desire to voyage in that part of the world, to learn from that part of the world, and to look at it in this beautifully positive manner.